Hello everyone, and welcome back to Baldur's Gate 3 Overexplained. So far, we've crashed off the ship, come down the beach, gathered some heroes, been through a dungeon, went to a city, and now we have kind of the wider world available to us. Now, our map does not show any of that wider world yet, because we still have the fog of war obscuring it, but we can see over here that there is the Goblin Camp and Priestess Gut, as indicated by some of our objectives, and up here there is Zoru from the Tiefling tribes, and in this current area there is nothing else to be found. So for right now we basically have an objective and we know that it's going to be west, but to get there there's going to be probably some combats, some exploration, some things to find. So we're just going to slowly begin pressing forward. Now,
can't slow down.
I was expecting to find some people here. There they are. So, as you can see, we get a small bark to tell us that there's something going on if we were looking over here, perhaps. And on the map, we can see that it's yellow dots, so these people are not currently a threat to us. So we can approach and see if we can help.
Rest the wound. You're a true soul. You can't die. Please, stay with us.
I don't think he's conscious. Can you hear us, Ed?
You, not a step closer.
A strange symbol glows, marked on their flesh, and something within you stirs in response.
So now we can see our standard options. We have medicine proficiency, so we are able to make a medicine check, or at least able to attempt a medicine check. We don't have proficiency because we can see we only have +1, I believe. We cannot check our character sheet at this time to double check. Or we can use our illithid powers and try and circumvent this check by using the power of the worm in our head. So let's just see if we can make a medicine check right now. So no proficiency, just +1 wisdom. And we'll see if we can help.
He's hurt badly. An owlbear got him deep. If there's anything you can do.
I'm watching you.
The injured man locks eyes with you. A familiar squirming churns in your head.
Hold his stare.
Your minds intertwine. You see his siblings, Andric and Brenna. New recruits. Yours to shepherd.
Protect them. He is a true soul. Mind him. He will. He.
Edwin! Ed! Please!
He's with the Absolute now. You're a true soul. Edwin, our brother, he was chosen. Like you. Do you have orders for us? We were reporting to Edwin.
So clearly this true soul business is related to the worms in our head. Other people have them. Other people are being taken in as true souls in some kind of religious or cultist sense. Let's see if we can get some more information on that. What is a true soul?
What? Are you testing us?
A true soul, like you, has been chosen by the Absolute. You speak with her voice. Your words are her command. She grants you the power to enforce her will. And when the time comes, the true souls, you, will rule.
Oh, I like these two. All zeal and no brains.
And what were you doing out here just in the wilderness?
We know that all too well, sir, but the Absolute sent us here.
But why?
Looking for fugitives. Survivors from that ship that crashed farther west of here.
I'm a survivor of that crash. You found me.
You? Brenna, kill him!
So, this goes to show that even when you're having a friendly conversation, saying the wrong thing at the wrong time can go poorly. Unfortunately for these folks, they've picked the fight with 4 people who are far stronger than them. So we are all in the initiative. You can either find all of the portraits up top, or below you can see everybody has crossed swords in front of their faces, so we know everyone has been pulled into this fight. Now, if we wanted to attack them with something like Chromatic Orb, we are currently a bit too close. You can see on the left there the little red pip on the die face saying target is too close, means that we would be making a ranged attack at disadvantage for being too close to a foe. But we do have Poison Spray. Project a puff of noxious gas that deals 1d12 poison damage. And we can do that very close to ourselves. So they take 6 damage from that, which is good. They're going to retaliate. So they now have +1 d4 to their attack rolls and saving throws. You can check this by hovering over the blessed condition over the afflicted status cards, over the portraits. So it has 1d4 bonus to attack rolls and saving throws because of the blessed condition. Now, I think this is one of the first times we've dealt with somebody concentrating, so let's go over that. There are basically 3 types of spells. There are spells that happen in an instant, something like Healing Word or Guiding Bolt. You do the attack or the healing, and it just happens and it's over. There are spells like
What now?
Mage Armor, where you surround a creature in a protective magical force. Its base armor class is set to 13. And this happens for the rest of the day. So it says, I think it would say somewhere amongst all that, if it were our turn, that it remains until our next long rest. But we don't have to exert any mental acuity to remain concentrating on this spell. Whereas something like Bless here, this person has cast it, and they are now really focused on making sure that that spell remains in effect. So if you look over their portrait, you can see this little symbol of the Bless spell. I think it would say in that box next to it, if this weren't early access, concentrating turns 10, because Bless lasts for 10 turns, as you can see just in the center of the screen underneath the health bar at the top there. It says 9 of 15 health, level 2, and then the Bless symbol with 10 Bless. So that Bless is going to last for 10 more rounds. But if we can hurt this person, they have to make a Constitution concentration saving throw, and if they roll less than 10, they will no longer be concentrating on that spell, and they will no longer be gaining the benefits from the Bless spell. Also, we can kill this person or knock them unconscious, and then they also won't be able to concentrate on this spell. When you make a concentration check, the number that you have to roll is 10 or higher, unless the damage is 22 or higher on the attack roll that caused the check, in which case the concentration check is half of the damage. So if you take 22, the concentration check is 11. If you take 30 damage, the concentration check is 15, and so on. So they're going to be far more proficient at killing us, since they are now concentrating on Bless. They're going to have an extra d4 on their attack rolls. So our priority now is killing the one that is concentrating on the Bless spell. And since they are within 5 feet of Gothic, we should be able to do that with a ranged sneak attack here. And so you see the concentration was broken, mostly because she died.
Can't give up.
So now the other player, the other foe, does not have +1 d4 to their spell roll, their skill checks, or their attack rolls, or their saving throws rather. Not skill checks, that's a different spell. And so we can just continue our assault. And since there's now 4 of us against 1 of him, I don't think we need to expend any spell slots or the like. So that is Shadowheart and Astarion's turn done. This guy and his club. They cast Grease, which creates this large pool of grease. And our heroes have to make a dexterity saving throw to not slip over in the pool of grease. So Lozel here could try and run across the grease to get to him. However, that sounds very slippery. So the sooner we can get out of that grease, the better. But we have now spent all of our movement, because I presume we had fallen. You spent half of your movement to stand back up, and then we only had a little bit of movement left, which was spent on this rough terrain. So instead, let us just launch a ranged attack. We can end our turn here. And now, back at the top of the order, we have 3 more turns to deal with this problem. We can get nice up close. They have 4 HP. And so we can try another plume of poison. Unfortunately, they make their saving throw this time. But we still have 2 more characters we can attack with. And that is done.
Curious.
So
Looks like the Absolute's drawing all sorts to become followers.
this grease is going to remain for 23 more turns. You see on the left it's counting down there. A turn is typically 6 seconds in game, but these surface conditions do disappear a little bit faster than that. So we can still try and navigate around this whilst the grease is happening. We can look at the guy's corpse. There's a shaft of a broken spear.
The man is dead, but something shifts beneath his features. A glistening tadpole emerges, slithering up past a sightless eyeball. The same as the creature behind your eye.
Right, let's not leave that out there in the world to find a different host, shall we?
One squeeze should do it, but you stop short. How could you think of harming something so beautiful, so pure?
As ever, game is in early access, so the worm should be there. We can roll insight to resist the feelings, or strength. We have wisdom and insight proficiency, so we'll go with that. And we can also get some guidance to help us along our way.
The tadpole plops to the ground. Now is your chance to stomp it into the dirt. But it's too precious, too sweet, isn't it?
So we can now roll insight again to try and concentrate. Strength or constitution to focus. We'll go insight since we still have proficiency in that as Shadow Heart.
You raise your heel and crush the parasite into the ground. Intense regret washes over you, churning your stomach.
Right, so that particular worm is gone, but we have learnt a bit more about the parasites and the Absolute. Any other loot that we want? Loot of followers of the Absolute. I will take a short sword. Now, something that we should change here is regarding Astarion's kit. Since we took his subclass, he now has 2 bonus actions. If we scroll down here, we can see that as he is a thief, we get fast hands and second story work, and one of those things is giving us 2 bonus actions every turn rather than the standard 1. Now, with our weaponry, at the moment we have a rapier. Now, this is a 1d8 piercing base damage weapon, and it is finesse, so we can sneak attack with it. However, it is not a light weapon. So if we remove this, we have this short sword here, and somebody else just picked up a short sword, didn't they? Yeah, so if we send this short sword to Astarion,
Keep a blade close.
we now have 2 short swords, and if you'll see, they are both light finesse dippable. Now, Dippable we can ignore, but they are both light and finesse. So finesse means we can still use our dexterity modifier as our attack modifier, and we can still sneak attack with it because it must be a finesse weapon if we wish to sneak attack. But because it's a light weapon, we can wield something in both our left and right hands. So, if we put one of those in our right hand and one of those in our left hand, we now have 2 swords. And because we have 2 swords, we gain the offhand melee bonus action strike. Make a melee attack with your offhand, dealing 1d6 plus 3 piercing damage. So that's a bonus action, as we'll use our main action for our main-handed attack, and then a bonus action to attack with our offhand. So right hand main attack, left hand offhand attack. But because we have 2 bonus actions, we might be able to bonus action offhand attack and then disengage, or attack 3 times within 1 turn. So that's going to be better for our damage output overall with 2 1d6 weapons than one 1d8 weapon. So that is an improvement for Astarion. Now with that done, we can carry on our way.
Let's move.
Fortunately, we didn't take very much in the way of damage there.
This way. Over there.
So this pathway takes us below wherever we're going. And up here, there is a bridge that takes us above. So, as ever, diverging directions. Down in this direction, there is a pod over here. I believe that relates to a scripted event with Will, rather than any of our current party members. So I won't go exploring off in that direction too much. But we can cross this body of water. So I'm going to select Gothic, because Gothic is who I typically travel around with. There's some leather boots there, if you want them. They don't do anything, but they can be sold for 50 gold. And we're going to have Gothic cross the river. Now, Lae'zel and Shadowheart happily follow along, but Astarion doesn't. Now, this might look like the game's auto-following mechanics not working correctly. But if we pull Astarion off of the party and select him, and now force him through the river, you'll see something interesting happens. And we'll even go into turn-based mode to make this a little clearer. So, Astarion is going to walk into the river. And now he has taken 1 acid damage from the running water. Running water eats away at vampiric flesh, dealing 1 acid damage. Now, why Astarion is taking acid damage against vampiric flesh, we don't currently know, although you might be able to make some assumptions. But clearly we want him to spend as little time as possible in this running water. So we can cunning action dash, using one of our bonus actions. And we can cross over the rest of the river, end the turn-based modifier, and now we have the rest of the party all together again.
Can't give up now.
And it seems we have found some kind of a cave.
Owlbear tracks. Its nest must be nearby.
So we heard about Edwin being mauled by an owlbear. So clearly that owlbear is a threat to general people around and about. So with our nature check telling us there's owlbears here, we can click to enter the cave mouth. And now we are within an owlbear nest.
Swift as my feet can carry me.
So we've got some corpses, pickaxes, goblins, stones, all kinds of things.
And move.
That stench. Dead owlbear prey, no doubt.
So if we look ahead, we can't currently see the foes might have loaded in, but we can see a nest back there with an egg in it. And down here, there appears to be some kind of a shrine. So we'll check out the shrine first, then we'll worry about the owlbear afterwards. So here we can climb down the rock face.
Saluna statue in a stinking cave. Hardly a place of honor.
Right, so Shadowheart, our cleric, clearly knows more about these things than everybody else, so we'll select her. We'll try and move the party far enough away from this rock face that they don't decide to keep climbing up and down it. And we can see a gilded chest that is currently sparkling and has Saloon's seal. A protective shield surrounds this chest, dealing 4d6 radiant damage to any heretics that touch it. So obviously that's bad. We don't want to take 4d6 damage.
Sealed by magic. There's no smashing this open.
If we hold Alt, we can see there's a bunch of other stuff here though. There's a potion of speed in the water. We'll take that for ourselves. A scroll of detect thoughts. A potion of psychic resistance. A potion of healing. And a book, The War Between Saloon and Shah. An ancient tome dealing how Saloon came into being along with her sister Shah. The silver, radiant Saloon and the dark, alluring Shah complemented each other and brought orderly distinction between light and dark in the universe. So, the game has presented to us a chest that cannot be opened by heretics. So, we need to try and find some way to not be a heretic. And there is this area up here. So, doing our best to explore everything. Let's pull Shadowheart off, just so this doesn't get too crowded. And she has the strength to be able to propel herself over here with her legs to jump the gap. And back here, we find something with our passive perception. A Selenite prayer sheet. A prayer dedicated to Saloon, imploring all to accept the Moon Maiden's blessing and share in her bounty.
Saloonite prayer. How useful.
So we will grab that. The Genesis of Saloon and Shah. A dusty volume that speaks of the conflict between the sibling goddesses Saloon and Shah, after Saloon ignited the sun and brought life-sustained light and warmth to the universe. So we have a bunch of these documents. Let's have Shadowheart jump back to the party. Now, we have a prayer. And if things have ever been taught to me through video games and pop culture, reading prayers can often impact the world around you. So we have the prayer sheet. Now, if we read the prayer sheet here, nothing happens.
Words, clearly.
Now, Shadowheart, if we check on her character sheet, now this is getting a little bit into the niches of character creation, but these things are here. You can see that she is a cleric of Shah, not a cleric of Saloon. And Saloon and Shah, as we have learnt, are locked in a conflict between light and darkness. So a cleric of Shah can possibly never be a follower of Saloon. So with that in mind, perhaps we pass the prayer sheet over to one of the heroes that does not have such an affinity for other gods.
A prayer to dear old Saluna. Adorable.
So if Astarion comes and stands here, if we check his character sheet, he does not have such religious inclinations. He's a rogue, he's Baldurian, he's an elf, but does not have any kind of particular religion. So if he reads the prayer...
If I knew praying could be useful, I would have started years ago.
Now the gilded chest no longer has its dangerous aura, and we can pillage
You
it.
should leave it, or even destroy it if possible.
Why?
This rubbish is an offering to Saluna. At best, it's worthless. At worst, who knows? Could be cursed. Do not trifle with that moon witch, or her trinkets. Only trouble will follow.
Well, now we can try and convince her otherwise. We can try and figure out why she cares so much. We can intimidate her to say, we're going to take this. Or we can use our persuasion, which is our highest stat. You can't just abandon resources. Just take it and see if we want to sell it or use it later. So DC 10 plus charisma and proficiency. Good rolls today.
Fine. Perhaps you can sell them for a couple of coins.
So we can check out that chest. We've got an idol of Saloon, a bloodstone, a silver necklace, and a handcrafted pendant. Writhing Dance. When the wearer has 50% hit points or less, they don't provoke opportunity attacks, which is an interesting benefit to gain. Now, if we pick up Shadowheart into the rest of the party, over here we can see now the owlbear and an owlbear cub. So next time we will deal with that situation, but for right now, thank you ever so much for watching. If you have any questions about anything you've seen or anything hasn't been clear, by all means do ask questions in the comments. Otherwise, if you like the video, consider hitting that like button, and if you haven't already done so and you might like to, please consider subscribing. Otherwise, thanks ever so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.